popular ways of working, and we started helping industry on the Kanban methods as well, off late from Garranto in Singapore and also Malaysia, across the globe, on the rest of the both public and private space as well. So I've been doing this in the accredited Kanban trainer capacity from Kanban University. So today we'll try to understand a little bit on the Kanban. What are some of the principles and practices which can help you to create a good transparency in the organization so that we can help creating a right business value to our customers. So I'll give a little introduction on that. What are some principles you need to be careful about, and what are some practices might be helpful? What is this board design is all about in Kanban, and ticket design, how a good ticket looks like. So that is the agenda for today, and I'll take if any more questions and answers in the time available around 50 minutes plus from now. So before I do anything else, I would like to understand the audience. Where are you on the Kanban knowledge? Are you a beginner or intermediate or expert? And what you know about Kanban already? These are the two things I would like to understand from you. So I am posting one Miro board here. I would request each one of you to click on that, and then you will see something like this, the board, right? So you may be coming here, logging in. You need not to create any login. Just click on the URL, you will be on the board. Nothing else required. And yeah, I can see you are here, some of you. All right. So how many of you using Miro board for the first time by chance? You can unmute yourself. You can speak to me. Let us be interactive as much as possible. Unlike a religious webinars kind of where participants are not allowed to speak. But in my sessions, I would encourage if you can interactive and learn together, that would be awesome. So if anybody is using the Miro board for the first time, you can use from the left-hand side post-its.
Is it similar to Mural?
Yes, exactly similar to Mural, exactly the same. Use the post-it and post it here. Like for example, I'm taking a post-it of my choice of color. I'm posting there. So if I say my name is Dr. Koti, so I feel like I am expert. So I'm moving my name to here. So wherever you feel like you are, intermediate level or beginner level, write a post-it and put there. And then take one more post-it, and on the right-hand side, write what you know already about Kanban. So placing your expertise here and posting your understanding about Kanban here. So together, I would time box this for 5 minutes, and then we will take a look and move on. So I am also keeping the timer for 5 minutes. Time is started now. Please go ahead and post your post-its. Okay, Juliana, James, I can see you are first timer. Just make sure that you understand. On the left-hand side, take a post-it and place it on the board wherever you want to board. And also put a post-it here on whatever you understand. So I think Juliana, I can help you with. I am taking a post-it for Juliana, James. Maybe you can drag it wherever you want to drag it. You can put with the mouse cursor and put wherever you want to put. And also I am posting one more post-it for you. Probably you can write whatever you want to write here. For Juliana James. So you can write it whatever you want to write here. What you know about Kanban, you can write. You can double click on the post-it, you can write. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, to visualize data and maximize workflow. Nice. Good perception. And also I would recommend if you can post it on this as well, your expertise levels where you are, everybody. Last 150 seconds. Last 1.5 minute, 90 seconds left. So those who are just joining now, you can put a post-it here. What is your expertise level on the Kanban? Whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or expert. And write here one post-it what you know already about Kanban. That's all we are trying to do for those people who just joined. 1 more minute left for this activity. Yes, beginner. Write your name there, beginner. Viewer is keeping beginner here. If you want, you can write your name as well. That would be helpful. Okay. We have one beginner, one intermediate. Okay. A framework of AGILE methodology to visualize data and maximize workflow. Good. Last 10 seconds. Okay, time up. Good. A framework of AGILE methodology, product backlog management, visualization, data maximization workflow. I think we have beginners and intermediate as well. So let's figure out what we can do further based on this knowledge. We have a mixed response like, okay, that's fine. Thank you for the update in the chart. Let's talk about this based on what we are going to do now. So basically, there are many ways of understanding AGILE frameworks, AGILE methodologies, and so on and so forth. Typically, what we say a Kanban, it is a method to manage the knowledge work. How do you do that? With some principles and practices. And then we use Kanban boards. That's where visualization and managing your work and its flow, talking about. And then we use Kanban systems to control the work in progress to ensure workflow smoothly. So typically what this means is Kanban is a method It is not a framework or it is not a methodology, so to speak. It is a method which will come with different steps. And then this is basically requires certain principles and practices which we are going to understand. And then we have Kanban boards and systems to be used. In a nutshell, understand that much about Kanban. It's a visual representation. That's board concept, as you already mentioned there. Now, when it comes to the change management principles, as we are talking about to maximize the flow of the value, there are 3 change management principles and 6 practices. That is the crux of the Kanban, just to start the Kanbanization of anything what we do. In the 3 change management principles, as you see here, typically we say that if you want to implement Kanban, start with where you are by respecting your current organization, the current people, the current roles, current responsibilities, the levels, hierarchies, whatever it is. Don't trash anything. Respect your current organization as it is. That's what start where you are means. Don't think that we need to change the structure. We need to bring different roles, different norms. No. Start with where you are. Number 1 principle you need to keep in mind. Once you have that clarity of starting where you are, you must also have the clarity about we need to agree to pursue evolutionary change. Means we wanted to improve over a period of time. That is a commitment and agreement each one of us have when we start with where we are. With that commitment, we need to apply the act of leadership at all levels. Means everybody should exhibit that leadership skills. Whatever the role you are playing does not matter. Am I doing the right things in the interest of organization or not? As long as we understand the importance and implication of our behaviors, our leadership abilities, that can change the game. That's what the 3rd change management principle is all about. So in a nutshell, start with where you are, agree upon improvements over a period of time on the evolutionary basis, and start applying the act of leadership at all levels. Doesn't matter, you are a fresher, you are a leadership team. We all need to exhibit some level of leadership. Again, in our deep dive of the Team Kanban Practitioner course, we go to the depth of the change management principles, what exactly this means, with some examples and a lot of the stuff, we do that. But since it is a masterclass about the TKP, just we're talking about the high-level view and what are these principles and practices. The depth will come in our TKP class. So then if it talks about the practices, so those are the 3 principles. These are the 6 practices. So the first practice what we're talking about is visualization. As you said already, some level of visualization. You need to look at end-to-end value to the value what we are delivering to customer. It is not about what you are doing as a developer in your team, or it is not as a tester what you are doing as a team. This is the whole perspective of the value we are creating to the customer. We call value stream. So how do you look at the value stream end to end? From the time customer is asking for something till it is not delivered to the customer. That all process of the steps involved in completing that total value to customer is called visual representation or simply value stream mapping. So we need to visualize that end to end. Any sub visualization is sub optimization. We must understand from end to end. Then if you look at this one, is it a good representation of visualization for you? Whatever is not started is to do. Whatever is done. Everything else is in doing. Does that looks good, or you guys see any better representation of visualization can be here? If anybody is speaking on mute, please unmute yourself. Looks like everybody is silent. So, yes, somebody is speaking.
Yeah, it looks like gives us a good picture for the individuals to understand what we have to do. But when it is going to the present to other team members or throughout the organization, I don't think it is a better visualization.
Exactly. And also, thank you for that, Venkatesh. So basically, this doing is also having a series of steps. It may be in the analysis, it may be in the design, it may be in the coding, testing, or integration, or UAT. You may have a number of steps in any process. If it is a manufacturing, there are multiple other steps involved. If it is a software, there are steps involved. You cannot say everything is in doing or everything is in progress. It will not able to segregate where actually the work is flowing, where we stuck, what exactly the state of affairs, you don't know. So this is visualization, even at one level. As you said, if somebody is doing some task, they have taken the task, they are doing. Once they are done, they are done. But the task cannot guarantee the whole work item. So if you want to really get that perspective, we need to expand this doing part across the team, not a task for a person kind of thing. So when somebody do this kind of thing, we call personal Kanban. I will talk about in a while what are the types of Kanban. So it's a personal Kanban. Our goal is to go to team Kanban and beyond, aggregated team Kanban, overall organization, how are you creating value? So that's where the first and fundamental practice is visualization. You must visualize complete end to end. So once I explain all the practices, I will give you some time to visualize your work and you can create your own stuff. The second one is, once you visualize how much work is there as an intake, whether we have 10 things as a team or 20 things as a team, you must have your own backlog. Then you need to start applying the work in process limit. Application of work in process limits is nothing but you are saying at any given point in time, any of those columns, when the value is flowing, you cannot have more than that number. If I am saying WIP limit is 2, you are not supposed to work more than the 2 items. Make sense? If you want to look at this board, what I created. So look at this example board here. Right now, this is 4 because there are 4 items. If I move one of the item to right hand side, see that is changing to 3. This 0 is coming to 1 because one item is coming here. Right now, this is basically a number based on the items in that column. I can also say I am applying my WIP limit of, let us say, I am keeping my WIP limit as 2 for this particular column. The meaning of this practice is you are not supposed to have more than 2 items in this column at any given point in time. If I am keeping my WIP limit as here, let us say 6, in the backlog, you should not have more than 6 items. If done, everybody wants everything to be done at the earliest, right? You need not to apply any done WIP limit as much as you can do anytime. So it can be no WIP limits. Even sometimes people keep backlog also no control. So they say infinite backlog can keep coming from the customers. In that case, what they do is they add one more column kind of here so that they can actually create more columns here on the right hand side. They can create and then they can move on creating more columns here. They can add more stuff here as well as it requires. Making sense, everybody? Okay. Then how and where you can apply these WIP limits is the next question. You can apply sometime per person, sometimes per state in the workflow. Means if I am working with multiple teams members here, we can have that WIP limit, how many items a person can do. Or if you are going to add more items here, you can also do that in a way to apply the overall numbers. So for example, I am going to add more columns here. I can definitely do that. And then I can apply those. Let us say I'm adding 4 columns in between. And those 4 columns, I can keep on keeping that WIP limit. So let me also take one more template here. Kanban. So let's use a blank template here. So if I am using a blank template here, now I can add column on the right click. I can add one more column, right click. I can do as many columns as possible based on my visualization, my work items, whatever I am working on, whatever my company is creating the value to customer, whatever my product line is all about. What are all the columns required to complete that work? I can create that many columns. So I can keep on doing that. Maybe I am doing this many columns. Here I am saying ready to implement. Means my backlog can have infinite, but then I am keeping my ready to implement. That's what definition of ready people say. I can say this item can be 4 at any given time. So I can keep this as 4. Means I don't want to start working on any given time more than 4 items. This one can be, customer can ask anything anytime. This can be infinite. This you need not to put any number there because customers can ask anything. And we can complete these things anytime. So done also can have infinite, no problem. But the goal is in between these two infinites, we should apply the WIP limit so that we are maximizing the flow. So then the second column here, I may say it's design. And then third column, I will say coding. Here I will say testing, right? If I want one more, I can say UAT. So UAT. Finally, you're done kind of. So I'm just saying this to taking or it is not taking. Testing. Okay, good. So now I can keep on changing these things. For design, I may say 2 items. We don't want to work upon more than 2 items at any given time. For coding, I am saying 3 items. For testing, I am saying 2 items. And UAT, 1 at a time kind of. I am saying only 1 UAT. And then done can be infinite. UAT can be 1. So what we are trying to do here, first of all, what are the board I am creating? This is a kind of visualization practice from end-to-end value flow to the customer if you want to maximize the flow. Number 2, we are applying the WIP limits on each column so that we don't want to go beyond that number of items. And hence we can maximize the throughput. Otherwise, there is a tendency from the people, they take everything here to here, they never move further, which does not make sense. It will make you to slow down the process, increase the lead times. These enforcement of WIP limits can maximize the value to customers sooner. And also this depending upon the supply and demand. How many people are working, how many intake looks like. That is the second practice. We can apply per person. We can apply for workflow item. Means these are the workflow items here. Sometimes we have classes of service. Classes of service means I can take different type of work items here in each of these columns. The rows also we can call swim lanes. I may say that instead of team, I can say production issues. So production issues is the topmost priority for customers to do. And second one, I can say new work items, new features, all right, new work. When I have 2 type of work we are doing as an organization, each type can be a row. Every row has got some importance and significance to customer. If you ask customer, what do you want first? They will say, fix my production issues first. You can bring new work later. So new feature work is fine, but we want the production issues to be fixed faster. So that will become top priority and the high risky item. If you don't do, customers will not be happy. So we call these kind of classifications, which is most important, more risky for customers. If you don't deliver, you may end up with doing some penalties and all those things, right? We call them as classes of service. So we can also say, we don't want to take more than 2 production issues at any given time. We don't want to work upon more than 4 features at any given time. We are applying the WIP limits here also. You can apply that. You can apply the WIP limits on the type of classes of service on the rows. You can apply on the columns as well. Sometimes removing all these things, overall board level also, for example, if I say something here, I am saying 20, I mean, if I remove all these things across the board, I can say 20 at a board level. That means across the board at any given time, I don't want to see more than 20 tickets or 20 items. That is also a possibility. So depending upon how you want to use, you can apply all of these things. Across the board, type of work, classes of services, each column per person, you can decide how you want to apply based on the value you wanted to maximize. Third one is managing the flow. Ultimately, we wanted to make sure that all these items are going to the last column, infinite column. There is no limit on that. Everything we wanted to finish at the earliest possible time. So the management of the flow is all about moving the things from left to right so that we can bring the predictability to the customer sooner. The forecasting makes more sense. So based on the supply and demand here, based on the supply means intake items and the people in the columns, we need to regulate these WIP limits to manage the flow. If we don't have the right people or the right number of people to do the work in packet, that's where we say there is a mismatch between supply and demand. How do you add more people to the teams? And if there is a less work supposed to be done, how can you leverage these people elsewhere? Mapping supply and demand, that's where this managing the flow of the value is all about. The next one is make some good policies explicitly mentioned. For example, pull criteria, the WIP limits, what is the classes of service means, how do you deal with the dependencies? If something is blocked, how do you manage? All those things you can apply policies here. So policies, you can write something like this. Okay, we are writing a policy here. Pull criteria for the work item. So when you look at the work items, say that once the DOR is ready, we can pull from backlog to ready to implement. What we are saying here, we are writing a policy. This policy is talking about when to pull the items from this place to this place. Similarly, when it is ready to pull from here to here, you can write a policy. How to fix these WIP limits, at what frequency you wanted to change, who can change, all of that also you can write as policies. Or what are the types of service, classes of services, when to add the new service if required, how to add war room kind of work items, which workflow items can be in the each row, what each row can be considered as. If you want to manage the flow of the item, you can define all these policies. This is the fourth practice. So define like these policies at a row level or column level and make it visible for everybody so that there is no assumption. Everybody understand what is that means to manage this work. Now the next one is establish the feedback loops. So we have two loops. One is team retrospective, other one is Kanban meetings. So at regular intervals, let us say we have visualized this, we have applied the WIP limits, we have created some policies. None of them are written on the stone. We must make sure that they can be changed over a period of time, right? We are starting with what we can do now. That is the first change management principle. We agreed to change on an evolutionary basis, right? At regular intervals, we need to think through. Are there any redundant columns in the workflow? Is there any need to add more columns? How the WIP limits looks like? What policies we need to change? All of the decisions you take in the team retrospective at a regular intervals, which you can define. Similarly, every day morning when you go to office, there is a team Kanban meeting. We try to understand what are the things we can move to done column earliest. We don't want to start from here. We wanted to finish from here. Stop starting and start finishing. That is the success mantra for Kanban. That's where we do in the team Kanban daily meeting to see the best possible things which are at the end state, which can go to the done column as well. In other words, we say stop starting and start finishing. That is another success mantra for Kanban. So these particular practices are helping you on reflecting at regular intervals to fix or changes those practices. If this is a daily planning, is the Kanban meeting. to make sure that we are working on the right things at any given point in time. The last one is we need to collaboratively work together experimentally to move forward. So we are ready to do the safe and okay to fail kind of experiments, what you are going to learn with this application of the practices, how we are helping each other in each other column, so that our goal is ultimately to go to the last column. That collaborative experimental models can help. Everybody can learn from others. When you apply this constraint of WIP limits, the ultimate goal is the cross-pollination of the knowledge is improving. We are collaboratively experimenting to maximize the value to customers. Those are the 6 practices and 3 change management principles. So when you're going to apply these things, there are 4 types of plans here, what you can see. Any question? Any question, please? Okay. So there are 4 types of Kanbans. Aggregated personal Kanban. Usually people use the first thing what you have seen. A team Kanban, a per person WIP limit, aggregated team Kanban. As the names indicates, if somebody is following their tasks on the board, this is something called personal Kanban. This is multiple people are working. Each row is for one person. We call aggregated personal Kanban. This is a team Kanban. Instead of person, all this backlog is for entire team. Whoever is working on, they can keep some outdoors on the work items, but the board is for entire team, not person. This is per person WIP limit. You can use number of people, number of avatars or post-its. You can start assigning them to the work item. If anybody is having more capacity, you can keep their avatars here. This is another way of looking at per person limit kind of thing. This is aggregated Kanban. Sorry, anybody speaking to me? Okay. So then we have this team level Kanbans here. And multiple overlaps you can see, different set of people working on different set of things in the same board. We call aggregated team Kanban. The backlog is for all the teams together. Right people will pick the right item. They will start moving into the flow of the value. So we should not have infinite duns in between except the first and last columns as I mentioned about it. Any infinite done queue in between is not a good sign, but sometimes people use that. We should not use that. And also when you are creating your Kanban boards and designing, you must understand there are some commitment points to the customers. This point in time is called downstream Kanban, where whatever the board I am showing, all the way from ready to implement to the done is called downstream actually. How are you getting these work items from the customer's point of view is called upstream Kanban. Upstream Kanban is all about the process involved in refining the items and they are ready for implementation. Otherwise, we call typically those things are pool of options or backlog items, which are ready to implement, but lot of things are coming from the customer at different rate. Out of all those things, we'll finalize some of them. That's where I'm talking about ready to implement. The infinite thing from the backlog and before all the steps involved is called this upstream part. Sometimes our sincere advice is when you are visualizing end-to-end value to customer, look from all the way from customer request to the end, not just downstream. Look at both the points. Once you have the clarity what we need to implement, that's where the commitment point comes from. You can start working there. This is a typical boards again, looks like some ideas. When we are interested to start working for customer is called first commitment point. And then slowly when you start working towards that customer's idea, by refilling that we call replenishment there. And this frequency should depending upon the rate of arrival rate of information. And once it is done, we are going to release to the customer at a frequency of time. Delivery frequency again depending upon the UAT done and finally they are ready to deploy. This frequency also you can decide based on your nature of product. So frequent delivery is good, but on-demand delivery is most important to customers. So then until unless you go to user acceptance testing, you are not sure on which date exactly you are releasing to customer. Here we know that we are going to release for sure, But when you come to know only in the second commitment point after UAT is done. So we call this second commitment point. First commitment point when we are started working on, second commitment point when it is ready to release after UAT. So this is where the release date comes from, inform to customer. So Kanban supports two-phase commitment so that we are giving more prediction and more forecasting to the customers, not telling upfront without knowing when we can actually release. So then if you want to design these ticketing options, right, you take any ticket, the tickets can have different colors. For example, you can use one production issues, one type of color, new features, one type of color, enhancements, one type of color, or any intangible work you can use, any fixed date you can use some type of work, or a war room kind of environment tickets you can put. Different colors indicates different type of work or classes of services. And you can use the titles, descriptions of that. You can put some time stamps. When are you going to start and ending? The due date of that. Any other important information you can keep in the ticket. What are the risks and activities required to complete? People can also add the tasks on top of that. If you consider each of this is a user story, you can write all the tasks and activities and due dates, priorities, the sizing, colors, everything you can put some kind of depictions on the ticket. And all the tools, whatever you're going to use, they will all support in the electronic tools as well. And business risk and time in process, you can put all the information you can design, whatever makes sense to use some decision making. Ultimately, the ticket, how you are going to design depending upon how I wanted to keep it easy for us to move around the tickets, or pull criteria, or push criteria. What is the level of status of that items to be undergoing kind of thing. Some of the important things when you're going to start designing and working on, remember, every board is unique. Don't try to copy paste any Kanbans, anybody, because everybody dealing with their own workflow, their own value stream to the customers based on their product. The board should represent your visual model of the work from end to end to the customers. I talked about swim lanes, each of the row. Some color of the tickets I mentioned about it. Create a flexible board design which can evolve over a period of time. Don't try to do the perfect things. There is no perfection in the beginning or any time for that matter. Start evolving. And a good ticket design can help you to make a good board design as well. And some of the important things, work items types you can use in the swim lanes as a row, classes of services, even who is requesting the work, you can keep swim lane. Different purposes can be solved. How you want to use up to your context. Each of the row. Right now I used one is for production issues, second one is for the new work. You can add as you want to do that based on your design. So WIP limits you can apply. I mentioned about it already. Different types of tickets I mentioned about it. You can model the different types of activities in the workflow here, which can happen a short-term parallel sequential activities you can design. And also you can go for time in process, means how much time each ticket is in this process of the each column. You can put the dots denoting the hours or days as per your convenience. And also pull criteria can be something like this. This is a physical board from the practical of the field. Blocking issues can put some blockers on the post-its, which is blocking and what is the reason kind of thing. You can design all of this. You can be as innovative as possible. Avatars of the people can be used when they're designing the tickets. You can split one work item into 3 types of tasks and you can recombine them as when it is done. You can put all concurrent activities in one column. Individually, you can work upon that. Once everybody is done, you can move this item to here. So this is the split and patterns of combinational work, parallel activities. And non-sequence activities can progress one after one. If you have dependencies, you can show the dependencies in this way, right? So what we can do here is, in the interest of time, just to give you some idea how you can work upon that. So maybe we are going to open 2 breakout rooms, 2 to 3 people in each breakout room. I can create 2 more templates. See what best you wanted to use to design your board based on what I explained. As long as you can create your own board as a team, that's a good bet, right? And I'm creating these 2 here, right? So team 1, whoever is going to team 1, you can use this one in the room 1. Room 2 can use this one, board. Just all I am expecting is understand this, add if some columns if you want, add some items here if you want, simulants if you want, delete, and also just update some policies or some work in process, how each of the rows looks like for you. That is the aim of this system, right? So as long as you understand the basic essence, we are success today. And more details comes in the TKP class anyway. So I'm going to give about 9 minutes time for this activity. In 9 minutes, try to understand those practices and see what you can play with and come back. If any questions I will take once you come back, then we are done. So any questions, anybody, before we open the breakout room for 9 minutes? And Marianne will come to the rooms to see that everything is intact, and if requires, you can also invite me. Just let us make our hands dirty a little bit from this understanding. If no other questions, team, let's go ahead and open the rooms for 9 minutes, please. Alberta, you can click on that breakout room button at the bottom of the screen and you can join the room. Yes, welcome back.
Hi, Koti.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. So that's all pretty much. And I really looked at the breakout room. I think you guys were doing a decent job, at least understanding some of those items and filling that columns and rows and some policies. That's a good beginning. And in the TKP, Team Kanban Practitioner class, we go to the next level of the depth to design your own boards and get a simulation. And a lot of that stuff is available. Maybe feel free to reach out to Garranto for any of those learnings and courses as well. And I'm sure that you can start practicing some of these principles and practices to maximize the value to the customer in the shortest possible lead time. That is the ultimate goal for that. So with that, let us respect the time box as well. We're almost done and last 1 minute. I would like to see if any questions by chance, if anybody.
Yeah, Koti, first, I'd like to express my gratitude for this session to be conducted globally. And definitely it is a great learning. So, we can able to touch base with Marianne if we really want to, implement the same practices in our regular applications, right?
Yep, absolutely. Anytime. We'll be more than happy to help.
Thank you.
Thank you. And really appreciate everybody for taking your time out this evening, wherever you are from globally. Really appreciate that efforts. And we wish you all the very best on the future endeavors on this Kanban implementation and beyond. And take care and stay safe. And then do not hesitate to come back to us for any more questions. Really appreciate and have a great day and a great evening. Thank you all once again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jillian. Thank you, Venkat.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. We will request also fill out the form I sent on the chat box for your attendance and certificate.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Koti.
Thank you. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you very
Really
much.
appreciate your support. Take care. Have a good night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Take care.